Hello and welcome, my dear friends. You are listening to Code Your English, a place where we learn English step by step, in a simple and friendly way. I am really happy you are here today, spending your time to improve your English. This podcast is specially made for English learners like you who want to practice listening, speaking, and understanding real English in a calm and easy way. So please relax, take a deep breath, and just listen. There is no exam here, no pressure, only learning together. Today we are talking about something very real. Reading English books. Maybe you have tried before. Maybe you opened a book, read one page, and then felt tired, confused, or even a little scared. You see many new words. The sentences look long. Your brain feels slow. After some minutes, you may think, "This is too hard for me." If you feel like this, please know something important. You are not strange, and you are not bad at English. This feeling is very normal. Many learners around the world feel the same way when they read English books. I want to be honest with you. I had the same problem. Yes, me too. When I started reading in English, I did not feel confident. I stopped many times. I used the dictionary again and again. Sometimes I forgot the story because I focused too much on difficult words. I even closed the book and said, "Maybe English books are not for me." So if you ever felt frustrated, slow, or disappointed while reading, I truly understand you. Was in the same place before. But here is the good news. Things can change. Reading English does not have to be painful. It does not have to make you feel small or stressed. With the right way and the right mindset, reading can become easier, more natural, and even enjoyable. In this episode, I am not speaking as a perfect person. I am speaking as a learner who struggled, made mistakes, and slowly found better ways. We are walking on this road together, and you are not alone. The problem. Why English books feel difficult. Now let's talk more deeply about the real problem. Why do English books feel so difficult for many learners? When you open a book in English, the first thing you may notice is the sentences. They look long. Sometimes one sentence has many commas, many ideas, and many details. You start reading, but before you reach the end of the sentence, you forget how it started. Your brain is trying to hold too much information at one time. This can make you feel slow, even if you are a smart person in your own language. Another big problem is vocabulary. It feels like new words are everywhere. In one small paragraph, you may see 5, 10, or even more words that you do not know. Some words look similar, but the meaning is different. Some words are expressions, not direct meanings. When this happens, your reading stops again and again. You cannot move forward smoothly. Instead of enjoying the story or learning new ideas, you are fighting with words. Reading starts to feel like hard work, not like learning or pleasure. Because of this, many learners start to feel tired very quickly. You read for 5 minutes, and already your mind feels heavy. Your eyes move on the page, but your understanding becomes weaker. You read a line, but you do not really understand it. Then you read it again, and again. After some time, you feel confused. You may even ask yourself, "What am I reading? What is happening in this story?" This confusion is not because you are not intelligent. It happens because your brain is working in a second language, and that needs more energy. Another common struggle is stopping too many times. You stop to check a word. You stop to think about grammar. You stop because you forgot the meaning of something from the previous sentence. All these stops break your flow. Reading should feel like walking on a road, step by step. But when you stop every few seconds, it feels like you are walking and someone keeps pulling you back. This makes reading slow and sometimes frustrating. Because of all these difficulties, many learners start to lose motivation. You may say, I read one page, but I understand only 30%. Or maybe, I forget words very fast. I learned today, and tomorrow I don't remember. These thoughts can make you feel disappointed. You spend time, you try, but the result does not look big. Slowly, a dangerous idea can enter your mind. Maybe I am not good enough for English books. This feeling hurts confidence more than vocabulary problems. When this happens, some learners want to quit. They close the book and choose something easier, like short social media posts or videos in their own language. This gives quick comfort, but it also stops progress. The book stays on the table, and every time you see it, you feel a little guilty or sad. Reading becomes something scary, instead of something helpful. All these struggles are very real. Long sentences, too many new words, feeling tired, stopping again and again, understanding only a little, forgetting quickly, and feeling, I am not good enough. If you feel these things, please understand. This is not a personal failure. This is a normal stage in learning a language. Almost every English learner who reads books in English passes through this difficult part. The important thing is not to run away from the problem, but to learn a better way to face it. And that is exactly what we will talk about next. My old mistake. How I tried to read before. Let me tell you honestly how I used to read English books before I learned a better way. Maybe you will see yourself in my story. When I first started reading in English, I believed something that sounded logical but was actually wrong. I believed that I must understand every single word on the page. If there was one word I did not know, I felt uncomfortable. My brain would not relax. I thought, if I don't understand this word, I cannot understand the sentence. If I don't understand the sentence, I cannot understand the story. So I gave every word too much power. Because of this idea, I used the dictionary all the time. Truly, almost every minute. I would read 2 lines, stop, open the dictionary, search for a word, read the meaning, then go back to the book. After that, I would see another new word and do the same thing again. It felt like I was reading, but actually, I was not really reading the story. I was just jumping between the book and the dictionary. My eyes were on the page, but my mind was busy with small details. The flow of the story was completely broken. Another mistake I made was not having a natural reading speed. Sometimes I tried to read very fast. I thought, if I read quickly, maybe I will understand more like native speakers. But when I did this, I just moved my eyes fast. My brain could not follow. After one page, I realized I did not remember anything. Then I did the opposite. I started reading very, very slowly, word by word, line by line. I spent too much time on small parts and forgot the big picture. Both ways were wrong for me. Too fast made me lost. Too slow made me tired. All of this created stress. Reading did not feel like learning or enjoyment. It felt like a test that never ended. My body was sitting with a book, but inside, I felt pressure. I was always thinking, I don't know this word. This sentence is hard. My English is weak. Instead of feeling curious about the story, I felt worried about my mistakes. Sometimes I even felt angry at myself. This emotional stress made reading even more difficult. When you are stressed, your brain does not learn well. The biggest problem was that this method did not really help me improve. Yes, I learned some new words from the dictionary, but I forgot many of them quickly. Because I stopped so many times, I could not understand the story deeply. I did not train my brain to guess meaning from context. I did not train myself to read naturally. I was focusing on perfection, but I was losing progress. It was like trying to build a house by looking at one brick for hours and never seeing the whole building. After some time, I noticed something important. Even after many hours with books, I did not feel more confident. I still felt afraid when I opened a new English book. That was the sign that my method was wrong. If a method makes you more tired, more stressed, and less confident, then it is not the right method, even if it looks serious or correct. I share this with you because I want to be real and honest. I made these mistakes for a long time. Maybe you are doing the same now, and that is okay. It does not mean you cannot improve. It only means you have not found a better way yet. The good news is that when I changed my mindset and my method, reading became easier and more natural. And you can do the same. The big change. How I changed my reading mindset. Everything started to change when I understood one simple but powerful idea. I did not need to understand everything. This thought was new for me. Before, I believed a good reader understands every word, every sentence, every detail. But one day I asked myself, when I read in my own language, do I understand every single word perfectly? The answer was no. Sometimes I skip words. Sometimes I guess. Sometimes I understand the general idea, and that is enough. That moment helped me relax. I saw that reading in English does not need to be perfect to be useful. I slowly changed my goal. Before, my goal was perfection. Now, my goal became meaning. I started to ask, what is happening in this part of the story? Who is speaking? What is the main idea? Even if some words were missing in my understanding, I tried to catch the general message. This made reading feel more natural. I was not fighting with every word anymore. I was following the story like a listener, not like a person taking a difficult exam. Another big change was learning to accept confusion. At first, this was uncomfortable. When I did not understand something, my brain wanted to stop and fix it immediately. But I trained myself to say, "It's okay. Maybe I will understand later." And many times, this was true. The next sentence or the next paragraph made things clearer. I learned that confusion is not an enemy. It is a normal part of learning a language. When I stopped being afraid of confusion, I felt lighter and calmer while reading. I also learned to be patient with myself. This was very important. Learning to read well in English takes time. It does not happen in 1 week or 1 month. Some days I understood more. Some days I understood less. Instead of judging myself, I tried to encourage myself like a good teacher would. I said, "You are practicing. You are improving slowly. That is enough." This kinder way of thinking gave me more energy to continue. The most powerful change was this. I stopped seeing reading as a test, and I started seeing it as practice. A test is something where you must be correct. You feel pressure. You are afraid of mistakes. But practice is different. In practice, mistakes are normal. Confusion is normal. Slow progress is normal. When I read with the idea of practice, I felt free to try, to guess, and even to misunderstand sometimes. And this freedom helped me improve faster. Because of this new mindset, reading became less stressful and more meaningful. I could stay with a book longer. I could enjoy small parts of the story. I could see my progress little by little. My confidence started to grow, not because I understood everything, but because I was no longer afraid of what I did not understand. This mindset change was the real turning point. The techniques helped later, but first, my thinking had to change. And this is something every learner can do, step by step. Step 1. Choosing the right book. Very important. After I changed my mindset, the next important step was choosing the right book. This step looks simple, but it makes a very big difference. Before, I thought reading difficult books would make me improve faster. I believed that if a book was hard, it must be good for learning. But this idea caused me a lot of frustration. When a book is too difficult, you spend more time feeling lost than learning. Your brain becomes tired, your motivation goes down, and you may stop reading completely. A very hard book can make you feel small, not strong. I learned that the right book is not the most difficult one. The right book is the one that matches your level. You should be able to understand the general meaning without checking the dictionary every minute. Of course, you will see some new words. That is normal and good. But if every line feels like a puzzle, the book is too hard for now. Choosing a book at your level does not mean you are weak. It means you are learning in a smart way. Just like in the gym, you do not start with the heaviest weight. You choose a weight you can lift and slowly become stronger. One very good choice for learners is simple stories or graded readers. Graded readers are books written especially for English learners. The language is controlled. The sentences are shorter. The vocabulary is chosen carefully. These books help your brain get used to English structure in a natural way. Short chapters are also very helpful. When a chapter is short, you feel progress quickly. You can say, "I finished one chapter today." This gives you a feeling of success, and that feeling is very important for motivation. Another key point is to choose topics you truly enjoy. If you like stories about real life, read that. If you like motivation, read simple motivational books. If you like adventures, mysteries, or personal growth stories, choose those. Interest makes reading easier because your mind wants to know what happens next. When you are curious, you continue reading even if some words are difficult. But if the topic is boring for you, even easy language will feel heavy. Your heart is not connected, so your brain does not want to work. I noticed that when I read something I liked, I worried less about every word. I focused more on the story or the idea. I wanted to understand, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. This small change made reading feel more natural and less like study. And when reading feels natural, learning happens quietly in the background. You see the same words again and again. You see how sentences are built. Slowly, your understanding grows without too much pressure. So choosing the right book is not a small detail. It is a strong foundation. A book that matches your level and your interests can turn reading from a stressful task into a daily habit. It helps you stay consistent. And consistency, more than difficulty, is what truly improves your English over time. Step 2. How I read when words are difficult. After choosing the right book, I had to learn how to read when I met difficult words. This was a big step for me Because before, every new word felt like a wall. I thought I had to stop and break that wall immediately. But I discovered a better way. When I see a difficult word now, the first thing I do is very simple. I skip it. Yes, I just move forward. I do not stop the whole reading just because of one word. At first, this felt strange, almost like I was doing something wrong. But slowly I understood that one word is not more important than the whole sentence or the whole story. Instead of focusing on the difficult word, I focus on the context. Context means the words and sentences around the difficult word. They often give clues about the meaning. For example, imagine you read this sentence. Tom was exhausted after working all day, so he went to bed early. Maybe you do not know the word exhausted, but you see after working all day and went to bed early. From this, you can guess that exhausted means very tired. You did not use a dictionary, but your brain understood the idea. This is a powerful skill, and reading helps you build it. Another important change I made was reading full sentences, not single words. Before, my eyes stopped on every unknown word. Now, I train my eyes to move across the whole sentence. A sentence is like a small unit of meaning. Even if one or two words are unclear, the rest of the sentence can still give you the message. When you read word by word, reading becomes slow and stressful. But when you read sentence by sentence, your understanding becomes more natural and smoother. Sometimes, even after reading the sentence, I still feel unsure. In this case, I do not panic. I simply read the next sentence. Very often, the writer explains the idea again in a different way. If I still feel confused after a few sentences, then I go back and read the part again. The second time is usually easier because I already know what comes next. My brain is more prepared. Reading again is not a sign of failure. It is a normal and useful strategy. The most important rule in this step is not stopping the flow too much. Reading should feel like a river, moving forward. If you stop every few seconds, the river becomes small drops, not a flow. Of course, sometimes you will stop, and that is okay. But try to keep moving most of the time. Trust that not understanding everything now does not mean you will never understand. Many things become clearer as you continue. This method made a big difference for me. I felt less pressure. I could stay with the story longer. My brain started to get used to English patterns naturally. And slowly, I noticed something interesting. Words that were difficult before started to feel familiar when I saw them again. Without forcing, without stress, my understanding grew step by step. Step 3. How I use the dictionary. Smart way. Another big change in my reading journey was how I used the dictionary. Before, the dictionary was like my best friend, but in a bad way. I used it too much. Every new word stopped me. But now I use the dictionary in a smarter and calmer way. The first rule I follow is simple. I do not check every word. Just because a word is new does not mean it is important. Some words are small details. If I stop for all of them, reading becomes slow and stressful again. Now I ask myself a question. Is this word important for understanding the main idea? If the answer is no, I continue reading. If the answer is yes, then I remember the word and keep reading. I do not check it immediately. This is another important rule. I check words after reading a page, not during every sentence. This helps me keep the flow of reading. I can follow the story first, and then later I look at the words more carefully. When I finish a page or a short section, I go back and think about the words that looked important or repeated many times. Then I check their meanings in the dictionary. At this moment, my brain already knows the context of the story, so the meaning becomes clearer and easier to remember. The word is not alone. It is connected to a situation, a character, or an idea from the book. Another thing I learned is not to collect too many new words at once. Before, I wrote long lists of 15 or 20 words, but this was too much. I forgot most of them. Now I choose only 3 to 5 new words from one reading session, just a small number. This keeps learning simple and realistic. I write the word, the meaning in simple English, and sometimes a short example sentence from the book. This small list is easier to review later. This smart way of using the dictionary also helps with listening. When you learn words in context from reading, you start to recognize them when you hear them in podcasts, videos, or conversations. Because you did not learn the word alone, but inside a story, your brain remembers it better. Reading and listening begin to support each other. Using the dictionary this way makes reading feel lighter. The dictionary becomes a helpful tool, not a boss that controls your reading. You stay focused on the story, and you still learn new vocabulary step by step. This balance is very important for long-term progress and for keeping your motivation strong. Step 4. Reading out loud for speaking practice. One of the most powerful habits I added to my reading was something very simple: reading out loud. At first, I thought reading was only for the eyes and the mind. I read silently and believed that was enough. But later I discovered that when I read a paragraph aloud, something different happened. Reading became active, not passive. My mouth, ears, and brain started working together, and this helped my English grow faster. Usually, after I read a page silently, I choose one short paragraph and read it aloud. Not the whole book, just a small part. This keeps the practice light and not too tiring. When I read aloud, I pay attention to how the words sound. I try to pronounce them clearly. Of course, my pronunciation is not perfect, and that is okay. The goal is not to sound like a native speaker. The goal is to become more comfortable speaking English. Reading aloud helps improve pronunciation in a natural way. When you see a word and say it, your brain connects the written form with the sound. If you only read silently, you may know the word with your eyes, but your mouth is not trained to say it. Later, when you want to speak, the word feels difficult to pronounce. But if you practice reading aloud, your mouth gets used to English sounds, rhythm, and stress. Slowly, your speech becomes smoother. Another beautiful benefit is confidence. Many learners feel shy about speaking English because they are not used to hearing their own voice in English. It feels strange at first. But when you read aloud every day, even for just a few minutes, your voice in English starts to feel normal. You are no longer surprised by the sound of your own speech. This makes real conversations less scary. You feel more ready to speak because you have already practiced. Reading aloud also improves listening. This may sound surprising, but it is true. When you say the words yourself, you become more familiar with English sounds and patterns. Later, when you listen to podcasts or videos, your brain recognizes these sounds more easily. You think, "Oh, I have seen this word before. I have said it before." Your listening becomes clearer because the sounds are not new anymore. For B1 learners, this method is very helpful because it connects two skills at the same time: reading and speaking, and even listening. You do not need special equipment, just your book and your voice. You can read slowly, with pauses. You can repeat a sentence if you like. There is no pressure. This is practice time, not performance time. Sometimes I even record myself on my phone and listen later. When I listen, I notice my pronunciation, my speed, and my rhythm. I do not criticize myself, I just observe and try to improve a little next time. This makes learning more active and more interesting. So reading aloud turns a quiet activity into a full language exercise. It trains your mouth, your ears, your confidence, and your connection with English. A small paragraph each day can make a big difference over time. Step 5. Short daily reading habit. The last step that truly changed my reading journey was building a short daily reading habit. Before, I believed I needed a lot of time to improve. I thought, if I cannot read for 1 hour, it is not useful. Because of this idea, I often waited for the perfect time to read, and many days I did nothing. Later, I learned a much better and more realistic rule. 10 to 15 minutes is enough. Yes, just a short time each day can create real progress if you stay consistent. When you read for a short time, your brain does not feel pressure. You sit with your book and think, I only need to do this for a few minutes. This feels easy to start. Starting is the hardest part of any habit. But when the task is small, your mind says yes more easily. Some days, you may even continue reading longer because you are enjoying it. But even if you stop after 15 minutes, you still win. You kept your habit alive. Another important point is reading every day instead of reading a lot on one day and then stopping for many days. Imagine you go to the gym for 3 hours in one day and then do nothing for 2 weeks. Your body will not improve much. Language learning is similar. Your brain needs regular contact with English. When you read daily, even a little, English stays fresh in your mind. You remember words better. Sentences feel more familiar. Reading becomes part of your normal life. At first, progress may feel slow. You may think, I read every day, but my English is not perfect yet. This is normal. Slow progress is still real progress. Every time you read, your brain learns something, even if you do not notice it clearly. You see how sentences are formed. You meet words again and again. You understand a little more than before. These small improvements collect over time, like drops of water filling a bottle. It is also very important to be kind to yourself. Some days you will feel tired. Some days you will not understand much. Some days you may miss your reading time. Do not punish yourself with negative thoughts. Do not say, I am lazy, or I am bad at English. Instead, speak to yourself like a good friend. Say, it's okay. I will continue tomorrow. Learning a language is a long journey, and your attitude toward yourself matters a lot. This daily habit builds discipline, but without pressure. You are not forcing yourself to do something very heavy. You are simply showing up each day for a short, friendly meeting with English. Over weeks and months, this small habit becomes strong. Reading no longer feels like a big challenge. It feels normal, like brushing your teeth or drinking water. In this way, 10 to 15 minutes a day can be more powerful than long, stressful study sessions. Consistency, patience, and kindness to yourself are the keys. This is how reading becomes a natural part of your English life, and that is where real improvement happens. How reading changed my English over time. After following these steps for some time, I slowly began to notice changes in my English. These changes did not happen in 1 week. They came little by little, almost quietly. But when I looked back, I could clearly see the difference. The first change was in my vocabulary. I did not learn thousands of words in a short time, but I started to remember words more easily. Because I saw words many times in stories, my brain became familiar with them. The words were not just in a list. They lived inside situations, conversations, and ideas. This made them easier to understand and use. Another big change was my sentence feeling. Before, English sentences often felt strange to me. I had to think a lot about grammar rules. But after reading regularly, I started to feel what sounds right. When I spoke or wrote, some sentences came more naturally. I had seen similar patterns in books many times. My brain learned the rhythm and structure of English without me studying every rule. Reading helped me understand how real English flows. My confidence also grew, step by step. At the beginning, opening an English book made me nervous. Later, I felt calmer. I knew I did not need to understand everything. I trusted myself more. This confidence moved into my speaking too. When I talked, I was not as afraid of making mistakes. I knew that learning is a process. Reading had shown me that I could face difficulty and continue. This feeling is very powerful for any language learner. One change that surprised me was in listening. I noticed that I could understand podcasts and videos a little better than before. Words that I had seen in books sounded familiar when I heard them. Sentence structures were easier to follow. Because reading trained my brain to understand English in context, listening became less stressful. I did not catch every word, but I could follow the main ideas more easily. Most importantly, I started to feel more comfortable with English. English stopped feeling like a foreign wall and became more like a place I visit often. I was still learning, still making mistakes, but I was not afraid anymore. I could sit with an English book without panic. I could listen to English without feeling lost all the time. This comfort is a big sign of progress. All these changes came from simple, regular reading with the right mindset and methods. Nothing magical, nothing extreme, just small steps, done again and again. Over time, those small steps created real growth. And this is something every learner can achieve with patience and consistency. A gentle advice for you. Before we finish, I want to speak to you directly, not as a teacher, but as a friend who understands this journey. If reading English feels hard for you, please hear this clearly in your heart. You are not weak. You are not slow. You are not bad at languages. You are simply learning something new, and learning always feels uncomfortable at the beginning. When a baby learns to walk, they fall many times. We do not say the baby is weak. We say the baby is learning. Your English journey is the same. Difficulty is a normal part of progress. When something feels a little difficult, it often means your brain is growing. If everything were always easy, you would not improve. So when you open an English book and feel challenged, try to change the meaning of that feeling. Instead of thinking, "This is too hard, I can't do it," try thinking, "This is training for my brain." This small change in thinking can give you strength to continue. Also, try to see English books as friends, not enemies. An enemy makes you afraid. A friend helps you grow. A book is not there to judge you. It does not laugh at your mistakes. It does not get angry if you read slowly. A book waits for you. It gives you stories, ideas, and language at your own speed. When you sit with a book, imagine you are spending time with a quiet friend who is helping you step by step. There will be days when reading feels easier and days when it feels harder. This is normal. Your energy changes. Your focus changes. Your life situation changes. Do not use one bad day to judge your whole ability. One difficult reading session does not mean you are not improving. Look at your journey over weeks and months, not only one moment. Most importantly, trust the process. Language learning is like planting a seed. You put water a little every day, but you do not see the plant growing every hour. Still, something is happening under the soil. In the same way, every time you read, your brain is building connections. Even if you do not see big results immediately, progress is happening inside you. So please be patient with yourself. Be kind in your thoughts. Keep showing up for your small daily reading time. You are doing something brave and important. Step by step, page by page, you are building a new ability. And that is something to be proud of. Simple reflection question. Before we close, I would like to leave you with one simple reflection question. This question is not a test. There is no right or wrong answer. It is only for you, to help you think and also to practice speaking English in a calm and easy way. Reflection means you stop for a moment and look at your own experience, your feelings, and your habits. This helps learning become personal, not just information. Here is the question. What usually happens in your mind when you see a difficult word while reading in English? Take a moment to think about this. Do you feel nervous? Do you stop immediately? Do you feel curious? Do you want to close the book? Or do you try to guess the meaning and continue? Your answer can tell you a lot about your reading habits and your mindset. You can answer this question in your head, but it is even better to answer it aloud. Speaking your thoughts in English is very good practice. You can say simple sentences like, "When I see a difficult word, I feel confused," or "I usually stop and use a dictionary," or "Sometimes I skip the word and continue." Do not worry about grammar too much. The goal is to express your real experience, not to be perfect. When you speak your answer, you are training your brain to connect ideas with English words. You are also becoming more aware of your learning behavior. Awareness is powerful. When you understand what you usually do, you can slowly choose better habits, like the ones we talked about in this episode. You can also repeat this question in the future. After some weeks of practice, ask yourself the same thing again. Maybe your answer will change. Maybe you will feel calmer with difficult words. Maybe you will skip them more easily or guess better from context. This shows growth. So take a small pause after this episode. Breathe, think, and answer this question in your own words. Your voice, your experience, and your thoughts are important parts of your English learning journey. As we come to the end of this episode, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving your time, your attention, and your effort to your English learning. Time is precious, and the fact that you chose to spend these minutes listening and learning says something beautiful about you. It shows that you care about your growth and your future. That is something to be proud of. I hope today's talk helped you feel a little lighter about reading English books. Remember, you do not need to be perfect. You only need to continue. Every page you read, even if you understand only part of it, is still helping your brain. Every small session is a step forward. Try to keep reading, even if it is just a few minutes a day. A short daily meeting with English is more powerful than waiting for the perfect time. Also, try to make English a small part of your everyday life. Read a little, listen a little, speak a little. These small actions, done regularly, slowly build a strong connection with the language. You do not need to rush. You do not need to compare yourself with others. Your journey is your own, and your pace is okay. If today you feel a bit more confident about opening an English book, that is already a success. If you feel more patient with yourself, that is also a big success. Learning a language is not only about words and grammar. It is also about courage, patience, and kindness to yourself. So keep going, step by step. Keep turning pages. Keep allowing yourself to be a learner. You are growing more than you think. Thank you again for being here with me on Code Your English. I am happy to share this journey with you. Take care of yourself. Keep practicing a little every day. And I will meet you in the next episode. Goodbye for now.